And well, this is a very interesting subject, the humanistic learning theory. I
Yes,
know
sir.
um, conceptually this is very interesting, but but practically it is difficult to apply in our formal education. Uh, the basic practice of humanistic theory, the education process is an individual process. So basically, there is no shared curriculum. We cannot go humanistic theory uh, employing general or sharing curriculum because the humanistic curriculum is very, very individual. If okay, I can give an example. If in my class I have 5 students, so it will be 5 curriculum implemented for 5 students because each student has his or her curriculum. For Faiz curriculum, it is different from Hatice's curriculum, from Farida's curriculum, from the others' curriculum. Because in humanistic theory, every curriculum is based on student needs, based on student talent, based on what student wants to learn. If Faiz wants to learn about football, so he has to do everything related to football. Uh, um, Today, uh, we are going to have a massive presentation. I'm sorry, this is the international class for psychology, for educational psychology, and dedicated primarily for international student who is studying in Universitas Negeri Semarang or Semarang State University. And as I said, we are going to have a massive presentation which each of you, each of the student will present their paper, their subject matter uh, in about 20 minutes. And today we have 5 presenters from abroad. And I can see that all presenters today have already joined the room. They are Azad from Turkmenistan, Faiz Benali from Thailand, Farida Bamkando from Yemen, uh, Hatice from Turkey, and Parahat Atapyev from Turkmenistan. Okay. Without further ado, uh, I'd like to call for our first presentation, and I have chose Atabayet Parahat for our first presentation. We will have you, we will have Atabayet Parahat in our screen for the next 20 minutes. Okay, let's call the first presentation. Hello, Atabayet Parahat.
Hello, sir.
Parahat, are you there? Can
Yes,
you hear me?
yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening, teman-teman. Good evening, everyone. Can I share screen, sir?
Okay, just start your presentation. The time is yours.
Can you see the slide, sir?
Not yet.
Not yet. I don't see your slide. This is your screen, maybe. No, it's gone.
Yes. I
Try it again.
once more I will try. What about now?
This is it. Okay.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Farahat Atabayev. Farahat. Today I'm going to talk about uh, behavioral learning theory. And okay. What is behavioral learning theory? Next slide. Yes. Every teacher knows that they will normally have a students who are hard to handle and deal with in class. Their behavior is generally difficult to monitor, and getting them to pay attention and avoid distracting others can be extra work. Additionally, le- learning about uh, theory and understanding that there are various approach options about how people learn in highly useful. Combination is that focus on how students learn is behavior or behavioral learning theory. Behavioralism focuses on the belief that through contact with the world, all habits are acquired. This theory of learning claims that habits are learned from the environment and says that behavior is very little affected by innate or hereditary influence. Positive reinforcement is a typical example of behaviorism. If they get 100% of their spelling exam, the student learns a legal trait. To get the reward, students work hard in the future and prepare for exam. For educators, behaviorism is important because it influences how students react and act in the classroom, and implies that teachers may directly affect how their students act. It also encourage teachers to recognize that the home atmosphere and the lifestyle of students can be affect their actions, help them see that critically and work help and change it. Yeah. Life. The history of behaviorism. The behaviorism starts as a reaction against the intros- introspective psychology in 19th century. They, they relied heavily on first-person account. G. B. Watson and B. F. Skinner rejected introspective methods as being subjective and unquantifiable. These these psychologists wanted to focus on observable, quantifiable events and behaviors. They said that science should take into account only observable indicators. They helped bring the psychology into higher relevance by showing that it could be accurately measured and understood, and it wasn't just based off options. Watson and Watson and Skinner believed that if they were given a group of infants, the way they were raised and the environment they put them in would be ultimate determining factor how they acted, not their parents or their genetics. Pavlov's dogs is a popular behaviorism experiment. A group of dogs would hear a bell ring and then they would given a food. After enough time, when the bell would when the bell would ring, the dogs would salivate, expecting the food before they even saw it. This is exactly what behaviorism argues, that the things we experience and our environment are the drivers of how we act. The, sim, the stimulus response sequence is a key element of understanding behaviorism. Dog salivates or palate of food is given. Behavioral learning learning theory argues that even complex actions can be broken down into the stimulus response. In, in the classroom, the behavioral learning theory is a key in understanding how to motivate and help students. Information is transferred from the teachers to learners from a response to the right stimulus. Students are passive participants in behavioral learning. Teachers are giving them the information as an element of stimulus response. Teachers use behaviorism to show students how they should react and respond to certain stimuli. This needs to be done in re- repetition, repetition, repetitive way that to regularly remind students what behavior a teacher is looking for. Positive Positive reinforcement is a key in the behavioral learning theory. Without positive reinforcement, students will quickly abandon their responses because they don't appear to be working. For example, if students are supposed to get a sticker every time they get an A on test, and then teachers stop giving them positive reinforcement, less students may get A on their tests because their behavior isn't connected to reward for them. Repetition and the positive reinforcement go hand in hand with the behavioral learning theory. Teachers often work to strike the right balance of repeating the situation and having the positive reinforcement come to show students why they should continue that behavior. Motivation plays an important role in behavioral learning. Positive and negative reinforcement can be motivation for the students. For example, a student who receives a prize for a good test score is much more likely to learn and answers effectively than students who receives no prize for good test score. The students who receives no prize is experiencing negative reinforcement. Their brain tells them that though they got a good grade, it didn't really matter. So the material of the test becomes unimportant unimportant to them. Conversely, students who receive a positive reinforcement see a direct correlation and continuing to excellence completely based on the response to the positive stimulus. Behaviorism and the social learning theory. The behavioral learning theory and the social learning theory stem, stem from the similar ideas. The social learning theory agrees with the behavioral learning theory about outside influences about on behavior. However, the social learning theory goes a step further and suggests that internal psychological processes are also an influence of behavior. Students are individuals may see things being done, but the social learning theory says that internal internal thought impact what behavior response because comes out. Behavioralism doesn't study or future internal through the process as an element of the actions. Social learning argues what behaviors is much more complicated than the simple stimulus, stimulus and response of behaviorism. It suggests that students learn through observation and then they consciously decide to imitate behavior. They are underlying emotions like peer pressure and the depression and a desire for fit in that impact behavior. Then behaviorist teaching strategies. Teachers can implement behavioral learning strategy techniques in their classroom in many ways, including drills, which is teachers may practice skill using drill pattern to help students see the repetition and the reinforcement that behavioral learning theory uses. Question and answer. Teachers can use a question stimulus and answer as a response, gradually getting harder with the questions to help students. Guided guided practice. Teacher can be directly involved in helping students go through problems to give them the reinforcement and behavior demonstration you want them to follow. And regular review are important behavioral learning theory. Going back over material and giving positive reinforcement will help students retain information much better. Positive reinforcement. Behaviorist classroom utilize utilize positive reinforcement regularly. This can be the form of the verbal reinforcement and prize reward system and added privileges and more. And behaviorism criticism. criticism. While behaviorism is a great option for many teachers, there are some criticisms, criticisms of the theory. Behaviorism is the best for certain learning outcomes like foreign language and math, but aren't as effective for analytical or comprehensive learning. Other critics of behavioral learning say that the theory doesn't encompass enough of human learning and behavior, and and that is not fully developed. Other theories have come forward that take behaviorism further, implying 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 that there are many additional factors to consider when evaluating behavior. If you are hoping to to one day become a teacher, it's important to the to get the right degree and this creden- credential to help to be prepared and success. It's also important to understand learning theories and to be ready to take as students in the classroom. When you understand more about psychology and how students learn, more likely to be successful as an educator. This is all from me, and thank you so much. I will stop sharing.
Okay, thank you, Atabayah Parahat, for your presentation. Okay, before we have 7 minutes to go. Seven minutes remain for your presentation time, and maybe I will pointing some important point from your presentation. After that, maybe your friend will ask about your points. Okay. From behavioral point of view, I think it has to be underlined that reinforcement is the most important thing teacher or lecturer can do to their student. When the student do the right thing, teacher will reward them. On the other hand, when student do the wrong thing, people should punish them. As an example, when you doing your examination and you do and your answer is right, so your teacher will give you maximum score. But if you have wrong answer, vice versa, teacher will punish you by giving you the low score for your examination. That's the simple way of reward and punishment. And then the behavioral theory is also renowned for their conditioning theory, as Atabayev Parahat explained to us that conditioning is the one of the fundamental thing in behavioral theory. By practicing more and more, practice it repeatedly, practice it every day, every time, like the dog's saliva. when the dog every day is given the meat, the beef, the saliva will come up, and they did it repeatedly, week by week, until maybe 2 or 3 months. After 3 months, they give the dogs signal that they will give them the beef, the meat, and just by giving the signal, the dog was already full of saliva, without meat, without any beef comes up. And this is easily applied in our everyday life, that if we do it repeatedly, if we do it every day, if we do it more and more, and we will be conditioned, we will be habituated, and it will be habituated for us. And like if we wake up early every day for subuh prayer, and it will be weird if we wake up late and we miss the subuh prayer. It will be weird, because we are habituated to wake up early in early morning to doing prayer. And yeah, that is the simple explanation. And the last point I underline is the social learning theory. And maybe we do it consciously, or unconsciously that our behavior is imitating the other's behavior, the way we talk, the way we act, the way we doing things is something that we copy from the others, and we do it by ourselves. That's why in uh, some explanations that the others, anyone, everybody is our teacher. What does it mean? It means that our behavior is copied from their behavior. There is nothing we authentically do it, authentically create it. For some extent, we copy the other behavior, and sometimes we just don't realize it, or we do it unconsciously. But basically, we copy the other's behavior. Okay, student, you can keep your question for a while, and we are now going to have the second presenter in our class. Okay, I have chose Faiz Benali for our second presenter. Okay, Faiz.
Yes, sir.
There. Okay, for the next 20 minutes, Faiz will present us his subject matter. Okay, Faiz,
Yes.
the time is yours.
Yes, sir. Can you see my layer?
I can see
Your
your
screen.
room.
Yeah, wait.
Lazada.
Yeah, it was Lazada advertising.
Oh, you can see clear.
You can see it clear?
Yes, clear.
Yeah.
Please.
Hello everyone, my name is Faiz Benali. Today I'm going to present humanistic learning theory. First, next slide. Here there are 4 points for me to present today. First, what is humanistic learning theory, and second is the principles of humanistic learning theory, and the third, the role of teacher in humanistic learning theory, and the last one is best practice from humanistic theory. First, we are going to what is humanistic learning theory. Humanistic learning theory. In history, humanistic psychology is an outlook or system of thought that focuses on human being rather than supernatural or driven or divine insight. The system stresses that human beings are inherently good and that basic needs are vital to human behaviors. Humanistic psychology also focuses on finding rational ways to solve these human problems. At this root, the psychology of humanism focuses on human virtue. It has been an important movement throughout history, from Greek and Latin roots. This theory and approach in education takes roots in humanistic psychology, with the key concepts focusing on the idea that children are good at the core, and education should focus on rational ways to teach the whole child. This theory also states that the student is the authority on how they learn, and that all of their needs should be met in order for them to learn well. For example, a student who is hungry won't have as much attention to give to learning, so schools how to offer him a meals to students so that they need they need to meet the teacher and want to study have want want to have much more attention from their teacher. So the humanistic theory approach here engage social skills, feeling, intellect, art, artistic skill, practice skill, and more as part of their education. In previous example, there are humanistic theory to solve that problem. Next, also self-esteem goals.
Excuse
Yes.
me. Do you have another slide? Because I just see
Oh yes,
you
yes.
first. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, 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 sorry. And
Yeah, go
also,
on, go on.
yeah, yeah. The humanistic learning theory was developed by Abraham Maslow. Yeah, now we are talking about history of humanistic learning theory. Sorry before that, but yeah, let's we continue. Uh, it was developed by Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers, and James F.T. Buchenwald in early 19th century. Humanism was a response to common educational theories at the time, which were behaviorism and psychoanalysis. Abraham Maslow is considered as the father of the movement, and the Carl Roger and his friend James adding to psychology later down the line. Next, we are going to the principle of humanistic theory. There are several important principles involved in the humanistic learning theory that all lead to self-actualization. Self-actualization is when all your needs are met. You have become the best. You have become the best you have can. You are fulfilled. While Moscow and humanists don't believe that most people reach self-actualization. That their belief is that we are always in search of, and the closer we are with here we have 5 principles of human learning theories. First, student choice. Student choice is central of humanistic theories and humanistic psychology. Humanistic theory, humanistic learning is student-centered, so students are encouraged to take control over their education. They make choice that they can range from daily activities to future goals. Students also are encouraged to focus on a specific subject area of interest for a responsible amount of time that they choose. So teachers who analyze humanistic learning believe that it's crucial for students to find motivation and engagement in their learning, and that is more likely to happen when students are choosing to learn about something that they really want to know. Uh, yeah, that's all for student choice. So we are going to second, self-motivation. 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 To inspire students to become self-motivate to learn. The effectiveness of this psychology approach is based on learners feeling engaged and motivated, so they want to learn. If they don't have self motivated, so they don't want to learn anything about uh, So, humanistic learning relies on educators working to engage students, encourage them to find things they are passionate about, so they are excited about learning. So they have to find things to make them motivate to learn. So the third, self-evaluation. After have self-motivated, they also have self-motivation evaluation. The importance of self-evaluation for most humanistic teachers, grades don't really matter. It doesn't matter grade for student. Self-evaluation is more meaningful way to evaluate how learning is going. Grading students encourage students to work for grades instead of doing things based on their own satisfactions and assessment of learning. Routine testing and rote memorization don't lead to the meaningful learning in this theory, and thus aren't encouraged by humanistic teachers. Humanistic educators have students perform self-evaluation so they can see how students feel about their progress in learning. The fourth, feeling and knowledge. This is important too. Both important to the learning process and should not be separate according to humanistic psychology. Humanistic teachers believe that knowledge and feelings go hand in hand in the learning process. Cognitive and affective learning are both important to humanistic learning. Lessons and activities should focus on the whole student and their intellect and feelings, not one or another one. Yeah, they can separate between knowledge and feelings. They are both together. And the last one, learning, a safe learning environment. Because humanistic learning focus on the entire learning, the entire student. Humanistic educators understand that they need to create a safe environment so students can have as much as their needs met as possible. They can have as much as their needs met as possible. They need to feel safe physically, mentally, and emotionally in order to be able to focus on their learning. So humanistic educators are passionate about the idea of helping students meet as many of their needs as possible. Next, we are going to the role of teacher in humanistic learning theory. In the humanistic learning theory, teachers and students have specific roles for success. The overall role of teacher is to be the facilitator and role model, not necessarily to be the one doing the teacher. The role of the teacher includes first, teach learning skill. Good teacher in humanistic learning theory focus on helping students develop learning skills. Students are responsible for learning choice, so helping them understand the best way to learn is key
Hello, Faiz.
to the success. Motivation for classroom tasks. Humanistic learning focus on engagement, so teachers need to provide motivation and exciting activities to help teachers feel engaged about learning. And next, provide choice to student in task subject selection. Choice is central to humanistic learning. So teachers have a role in helping work with students to make choices about what they want to learn. They they may offer they may offer options, help students evaluate what they are excited about and what they want to. That's what make them motivated in learning. So the last one, create opportunities for group work in peers. As a facilitator in the classroom, teachers create group opportunities to help students explore, observe, and self-evaluate. They can do this. They can do this better as they interact with other students who are learning at the same time that they are. That's all for the role of teacher in humanistic learning theory. Next, we are going to humanistic approach example in education. Example of humanistic approach in education. There are some examples of humanistic education in action, including first, teachers can help students set learning goals at the beginning of the year and then help design pathway for students to reach their goals. Students are in charge of their learning and teacher can help steer them in the right direction. And next example, teachers can create exciting and engaging learning opportunities. For example, teachers trying to help students understand government and allow students to create their own government in the classroom. Students will be excited about learning, and as well, they will be in charge of how government runs in their room, in the classroom. Next, teachers can create a self-learning environment for students by having some snacks, encouraging students to use their bathroom and get water, and creating good relationships with students so they will trust to speak to their teacher if there is any issue with them. Next, teacher can utilize journaling to help students focus on self-evaluation and their feeling as part of learning. Using PALM question and can help student. It can help students better understanding their feeling and progress in their learning. That's all for example in humanistic approach in education. Next, we are going to best practice from humanistic theories to bring to.
Faiz, 3 minutes to go
Yes,
for your
yes.
presentation.
This is the last point. Sorry, sir.
Go on.
Yeah, best practice for humanistic learning in the classroom. First, making time to collaborate with other educators, and second, collaborate planning lesson with other teachers, and next, evaluating student needs and wants regularly, and next, connecting with their parents to help meet specific student needs, and the last one is preparing to try new things with students regularly. I think that's all. This is the reference of the source. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Faiz, for your great presentation. And well, this is a very interesting subject, the humanistic learning theory. I know
Yes, sir.
Conceptually this is very interesting, but practically it is difficult to apply in our formal education. The basic practice of humanistic theory, the education process is an individual process. So basically, there is no shared curriculum. We cannot go humanistic theory employing general or sharing curriculum, because the humanistic curriculum is very, very individual. If okay, I can give an example. If in my class I have 5 students, so it will be 5 curriculum implemented for 5 students, because each student has his or her curriculum. For Faiz curriculum, it is different from Hatice's curriculum, from Farida's curriculum, from the others' curriculum. Because in humanistic theory, every curriculum is based on student needs, based on student talent, based on what student wants to learn. If Faiz wants to learn about football, so he has to do everything related to football. And me, as a teacher, is facilitating him so that Faiz can go all the way to learn about football. And this is something different with maybe Azad, who is interested in math. If Azad wants to learn about math, so me, I have to facilitate him and help him and motivate him so that he can learn about mathematics very well in advance. So in practical terms, humanistic learning is very, very ideal, but it is difficult to implement it in formal education. As maybe you already know that humanistic theory is implemented in alternative education, such as, you know, in India, there is a Swaraj University, which is implementing a humanistic theory. They have no grade, they have no GPA, they have no certificate for their student. All they have is facilitating the student based on their need. If you want to be a chef, just go all the way to be the chef you wanted. Just like that. In Indonesia, maybe we can see in Salatiga City, it named Khoriah Toyibah Community. Khoriah Toyibah Community. It is also humanistic. They are practicing humanistic, and Sanggar An Alam in Yogyakarta, and they are also practicing the humanistic learning theory. But there is no way, I think, in formal education we can implement the humanistic learning theory. But myself, I love this concept, I love this theory, but I also facing difficulties when practicing in formal class like our class today. So that's all my response for the humanistic learning theory. And we are going to have our third presentation, who is Farida. Are you there, Farida? Please answer me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Farida, you are the third presentation, so the next 20 minutes will be yours. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please please start your presentation now.
Okay. Can you see, sir?
I can see your presentation now. Go on.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Farida, and
Good
today I
afternoon,
will
Farida.
present about the assessment of learning. Okay, first, what is assessment in general? The term assessment refers to the wide variety of methods or tools that educators use to evaluate, measure, and document the academic readiness, learning process, or educational needs of students. It is a process of documenting through a process of measuring the knowledge, skills, attitude, and beliefs of the students. Assessment of learning is any method of evaluation performed at the end of a unit that allows a teacher to measure a student's understanding, typically against standardized criteria. Now about the purpose of assessment. It is to gather relevant information about a student performance or progress, or to determine student interest to make judgments about their learning process. Teachers can reflect on each student's level of achievement as well as on specific inclination of the group to customize their teaching plans. Here are some of the reasons why student assessments are necessary. Because number one, throughout a lesson or a unit, the teacher might want to check for understanding by using a formative assessment. Also, students who are experiencing difficulties in learning may benefit from the administration of a diagnosis test, which will be able to detect learning issues. Also, after completing the study of a topic, the teacher can determine students' level of achievement and provide them with feedback on their strengths and weaknesses. Also, for students who didn't master the topic or skill, teacher can use data from the assessment to create a plan for remediation. Assessments of learning are usually grade-based and can include exams, portfolios, final projects, and standardized tests. There are some types of assessment of learning. Here are some of the most common ones. These are the most common. Number one is summative assessments, norm reference assessments, criterion reference assessments. First one is summative assessments, and it's to measure students' progress as an assessment of learning and provide data for the teachers. And some of the examples for summative assessments, it's rating assessments, which can be narrative or analytical essay, and performance assessments, like an activity or a task that will showcase the student's abilities, or maybe oral assessments, like a speech or a presentation. And for the norm referenced assessments, they are tests designed to compare an individual or a group with their friends, their peers, usually based on a national standard and occasionally adjusted for age, ethnicity, and other demographics. And norm reference assessments are most useful when measuring students' achievement to determine language ability, grade readiness, physical development, and college admission decisions, and the need for additional learning support. And the third one is criterion reference assessments. Compare the score of an individual student to a learning standard and performance level, independent from of other students around them. So for this assessment, it's most often compared with the norm reference assessment. While they're both valuable type of assessments of learning, this one doesn't measure students against their friends. Instead, each student is graded on their own strengths and weaknesses. So they don't compare it with other students, but they are graded and compared with their own efforts and own strength. That's all, sir.
Wow. Okay. What a solid presentation from Farida, who is presenting about the assessment, the learning assessment of, assessment of learning. Okay. Okay. From the Farida's presentation, I have already pointed some important things. First of all, it is really matter that assessment is necessary to, of course, to assess the progress of students' learning. Okay, basically, assessment is derived from behavioral or cognitive paradigm. So, in the beginning of the class, it is assumed that you have nothing, you don't know the material, and by the end of the class you master it. And to evaluate your progress, so the teacher deploying the assessment, which is in the beginning, maybe in the middle, or maybe later on in the end of the semester, in the end of the class, to check, to evaluate your learning progress. And as Farida said, it is used to it is used to be the teacher for the for the teacher data, for the teacher data, so that the teacher will give remedial exam or not. If you do well, so you have high grade, so the teacher will not give you the remedial. But if your score is below the standard, so the teacher will give you something, some like remedial. and also I also point out that in every assessment there are, I think, there are at least we have two goals of assessment, learning assessment, for formative goals or for summative goals. If the assessment is deployed in the beginning of the class, so it is for the formative goals. So the teachers know the teachers know how deep you're knowing about things. So the teacher will give you an appropriate engagement in learning from the formative assessment. But for summative assessment, in the end of the learning, it is absolutely to evaluate your progress of learning. Okay, I think that's what I have underlined from the Farida's presentation. So we will now have the fourth presentation, and I'd like to call Azad to be our fourth presenter for the afternoon. Hello, Azad, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Azad, please present your theme for 20 minutes.
Okay.
We will have you in the screen.
Okay.
Okay. The time is yours, Azad.
Okay. This is a cognitive learning theory. I will tell about this. So, what's the cognitive learning? Cognitive learning is the style of learning that focuses on more effective use of the brain. To understand the process of cognitive learning, it's important to know the meaning of cognition. Cognition is a mental process of gaining knowledge and understanding through the senses, experience, and thought. Cognitive learning theory merges cognition and learning to explain the different processes involved in learning effectively. With the cognitive learning strategies, you can become a powerful public speaker, a visionary leader, or a motivated team player who helps your organization achieve its goals and objectives. Functions of cognitive learning is an immersive and active process that engages your sense in a constructive and long-lasting way. It teaches you to maximize your brain's potential and makes it easier to connect new information with existing ideas, deepening the memory and retention capacity. So, history of cognitive learning theory developed of the CLT is credited to educational psychologist Jean Piaget and is useful in the analysis of the relationship between mental process and factors, both internal and external. Coined in 1936, Piaget developed the CLT to suggest that knowledge is something that is actively constructed by learners based on previously learned knowledge. Elements of cognitive learning. Cognitive learning is unlike the traditional learning process where the focus is on memorization rather than achieving mastery of the subject. The following factors are fundamental to the cognitive learning process. Comprehension. Cognitive learning strategies emphasize comprehensions. You need to understand the reason for learning the subject in the first place and the role your knowledge plays in your work. Memory. Cognitive learning discourages rote learning where you cram materials for memorization. In cognitive learning, the goal is to understand the subject at a deeper level. This creates an immersive effect that helps recall and improves your ability to relate new knowledge to past information. Application. Cognitive learning strategies encourage you to reflect on the material and how to apply it to current and future situations. With this, you develop improved problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, and visionary leadership traits that can help you see the things others cannot see in clear form. Benefits of cognitive learning. Enhance comprehensions. In cognitive learning, students learn by doing. This hands-on approach makes learning immersive and promotes comprehension. So you can develop a deeper understanding of the material and its application to your work and life. Improves problem-solving skills. Problem-solving skills are critical at any level of leadership. The cognitive learning approach enhances your ability to develop the core skill and helps them to apply it to every aspect of their job. Boost confidence. Cognitive learning can also improve confidence in your ability to handle challenges at work. This is because it promotes problem-solving skills and make it easier to learn new things with a short period. Encourage continuous learning. Cognitive skills promote long-term learning as it allows you to connect previous knowledge with new material. It helps you merge old and new information to apply both effectively. Cognitive learning examples. Explicit learning. It happens when you intentionally seek knowledge to attempt and learn a new skill or process that may be vital to your work. It requires you to be attentive and take action to acquire knowledge. An example of explicit learning would be undertaking an in-depth video editing course to understand the functionality of the software in order to be able to use it appropriately for the needs of your work. Implicit learning. Sometimes you passively gain new knowledge and learn some new skills. It is known as implicit learning, where you are unaware of the entire process until you realize you have retained something new. This type of learning may occur when you are working, talking, or going about your normal life. Typing fast and without looking at your keyboard is one good example of implicit learning that comes automatically over time. Meaningful learning. Meaningful learning is when you are capable of acquiring new information and relating it to past experience. This is because this cognitive learning approach teaches employees to build transferable problem-solving skills that can be applied in other areas. An example of meaningful learning is when you work in procurement and decide to take an advanced course in your department to deepen your understanding of the subject. Discovery learning. It happens when you actively seek new language by researching new concepts, process, and subjects. For example, if someone sets a task to proofread a particle report and they need to make use of specific tools such as Grammarly. By using this tool in hand with the manuals, this would cause them to learn the features and abilities of the tool through discovery. Receptive learning. Lectures where you sit in groups and speaker feeds the audience with information on a specific subject is an example of receptive learning. It requires the learner to be active by asking questions and taking down short notes. During training in your workplace, this type of learning comes in handy where you get a deeper understanding of new information by being active and responsive to the speaker. Non-associative learning. It is a type of learning that enables humans to adapt to something by facing it frequently. When you get a new job at a factory where there are many machines making noise, it irritates for the first few days, but you later learn how to live with it. This is known as habituation. Sensitization is a vice versa verb. Your reaction towards something increases as you get frequent exposure towards it. This type of learning happens at your typical situations in life and work. Working in an office teaches you to be more responsive to things like telephone calls. Emotional learning. Developing emotional intelligence is crucial to help us maintain friendly relationships with friends at work and in life. Emotional learning helps people learn how to take charge of their emotions and also understand others. An employer requires to have control over their emotions so as to handle customers and also their superiors in a courteous manner. Experiential learning. Our experiences in life are our best lessons. Your interactions with other people always teach you some precious life lessons. What you learn depends on how you interrupt it. For example, an intern learns by shadowing an experienced senior employer to gain experience. He acquires new skills that are relevant to his line of work. Observation learning. One of the significant components of the social cognitive theory is observational learning. It's handy among employees since it mainly involves imitation of skills from colleagues and superiors. Observing your friends or work colleagues is an efficient way to learn a new skill. You're a successful manager at work can help you improve your leadership qualities as you embrace and practice his habits. Cooperative and collaborative learning. Working and learning in groups is encouraged in many institutions. Cooperative learning helps bring out one's best skills and depends the collaboration between a group of people. However, for an individual to learn this way, he or she has to be an active and equal participant and interact with fellow group members. That's all, sir.
That's all for your presentation. Azad, your name is difficult to pronounce. Azad, thank you for your presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I have to tell you that behavior learning and cognitive learning is two major theory that widely applied in our formal education. Okay. Behavior learning theory is set to control our behavior, to control our mind, to control the environment. And after our behavior is controlled, so our mind is controlled, so that we can focus on the cognitive processing, which is memorizing, comprehending, applicating, analyzing, evaluating, or even I forget the last one. Problem solving. So from the memorizing, comprehending, applicating, analyzing, evaluating, until the problem solving. So the highest goal of cognitive learning, I think, is to solve the problem. And I think Barahat has already shown us the various cognitive learning model, such as emotional learning, and then experiential learning, and this is the interesting point, that cognitive learning is very close to a constructivism and contextualism lesson. That is the last topic that will be presented by our last presenter, Hatice Atmaca. So,
yes,
Hatice, okay. Okay, Hatice, the next 20 minutes will be yours. Are you ready?
Just a minute.
Sorry?
Just a minute.
Okay, just prepare your presentation. So,
okay.
And I just want to underline that the cognitive learning is very close to constructivism and contextualism, because the core of constructivism is how to construct our mind, which is which also our cognitive construction, cognitive contextualization. So there is, I think, what we can relate from cognitive to constructivism. Okay, I can see your presentation in the screen, Hatice. Okay, just start your presentation. The time is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Do you have problem with your connection?
Maybe a bit. I think right now it's supposed to be okay.
Okay, I can now hear you clearly.
Okay. What about now?
Okay.
Okay. Can you see?
Now.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
I can see it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, I mean.
Afternoon.
I would like to present contextualism and contextualism learning. Firstly, constructivism is a learning theory that equates learning with creative meaning from experience. Learning is more meaningful to students when they are able to interact with a problem or concept. Constructivism can help engage and motivate your students by making them take on a more active role in a learning process. Constructivism utilize interactive teaching strategies to create meaningful context that help students contract knowledge based on their own experience. Constructivism is often used to teach higher order thinking skills such as reasoning and problem solving, while also helping students transfer their knowledge to a new and different station. Common example constructivism include role playing or simulating a historical event or a time period. Debating controversial current event issue and topics, utilizing cooperative learning groups to teach multiple perspectives, and allowing students to engage in real-world activities like internship. The goal is problem solving, higher order thinking skills, and collaborative work. Now the next one, contextual learning. Contextual learning is based on constructivist theory of teaching and learning. Learning takes place when teachers are able to present information in such a way that students are able to construct meaning based on their own experience. Contextual learning experience include internship, service learning, and study abroad programs. Contextual learning has the following characteristic: emphasizing problem solving, recognizing that teaching and learning need to occur in multiple contexts, assisting students in learning how to monitor their learning and thereby become self-regulated learners. Anchoring teaching in the diverse life context of students, encouraging students to learn from each other, employing authentic assessments. Next, current perspective on what it means for learning to be contextualized include stated cognition. All learners is applied knowledge, social cognition, interpersonal constructs, distributed cognition constructs that are continually shaped by other people and think outside individual. Before the last one, the main goals of textual learning is to develop an authentic text as assess performance. Creating an assessment in a context can help to guide the teacher to replicate real-world experience and make necessary inclusive design decisions. Contextual learning can be used as a form of formative assessment and can help give educator a strong profile on how the intended learning goals started and benchmark fit the curriculum. It is essential to establish and align the intended learning goals of contextual texts at the beginning to create a shared understanding of what success looks like. Self-directed theory states that humans by nature seek purpose and the desire to make contribution and to be part of a cause greater and more enduring than oneself. Contextual learning can help bring service and meaning to learning, helping students related to world they live in. And the last one, constructivist learning theory maintains that learning is a process of constructing meaning from experience. Contextual learning may be useful for child development if it provides learning experience in a context in which children are interested and motivated. Various experiential learning theories have contributed to an understanding and textual learning. And yeah, this is from me. Thank you for listening. I'm done.
Okay, Hatice, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
And we now already complete for 5 presenters, and I think we have 5 minutes for question and answer session. And well, for Hatice's presentation, I also like it, the way she presented and the topic of constructivism and contextualism, and it is always delivered in high order thinking skill. The constructivism and contextualism method, it is always delivered in high order thinking skills, such as project, student project, problem-based learning, is something like that. The learning method that always makes us a deeper thinking to solve and to understand the goal of the learning. Okay, we are now going to have question and answer session for 5 minutes. If any one of you have any question for me or for your friends, just speak it up.
I don't have any questions. Thank you so much, sir, and are my friends.
Okay, you're welcome, Hatice. So, what about the other? Azad, Faiz, Barahat, Farida, do you have something to ask?
No, sir. I don't have.
Azad, no? Okay.
I don't have questions.
Sorry, sir.
Okay,
Sorry, sir.
Faiz.
I have a question. What about our examination?
Okay. Okay. I will share it later after this, of course.
Oh, yes.
So this is our last meeting?
Yeah, this is our last meeting before final exam.
Okay, thank you so much for everything, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Farida, what about you?
That's all for me.
Okay, Faiz.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your answer.
You are welcome, Faiz. Barahat, do you have something to say? Something to ask about?
No, sir. Thank you for this semester. I hope the others also will pass the exam with a good grade.
Thank you. Okay, because there is no question, so yes, you all all right. This is our last meeting, and this is my last semester. Maybe the last weeks to be UNES lecturer, because the government deploy me in another public university, as I already told you in the chat. And yeah, I am very happy to know you, to have you in my class, and we can share the knowledge together. And well, many new things I learned from our class, the way to manage the international student, well, many things. And it is very happy to have you in our class, of course. in my last tenure in UNES. Well, about our examination, I will share it. I will share the exam in our WhatsApp group, maybe tomorrow morning, because I need to write down the instruction, but I ensure you that it will be a flexible examination. I mean, you can working on it maybe in the morning, in the afternoon, even in the midnight, when you have plenty time to complete it. You can complete it by your personal schedule. But I also ensure you that the deadline will be this week. So I need to calculate it first. Maybe I will give it tomorrow, and I will ask you to submit it the day after tomorrow. Maybe I don't know. I will calculate it first, but I assure you it will be a flexible examination. So you can work it on your time. And in my imagination, the answer will be very individual. So there will be no general answer, because the answer is based on your experience. So Farhad's experience will be definitely different to Farida's experience or the other friend's experience. So it is based on your presentation. So please, each of you share your PowerPoint presentation in our WhatsApp group, so that your friend can read it, can learn from your presentation, and of course we can use it to be our final exams material. That's it, I think, for our final exam. What do you think? Do you have something to say? So if you have Hatice?
No, sir. Thank you so much for everything.
Okay. You are welcome. I also thanks to all of you for your cooperation, for your time to learn together in our class. I'm very happy and I'm very proud of you, and I hope you can gain, you can achieve a high score for our for this subject in my last tenure in Universitas Negeri Semarang. Okay. For the last thing before we close our class, can I ask you to open your video so that we can take a picture together for the last time? Farida,
Yes, sir.
Azad, Hatice, Faiz.
Yes, sir.
Please. Okay, Azad, Hatice, Faiz, are you there? And Farida, maybe. Okay, Farida and Faiz.
Yes, sir. I.
Maybe Faiz need to find a appropriate place. That's it. Okay. Where is my picture? Whoa. Why I can see my picture myself? It is only there are only your picture, but no my picture. This is it. This is it. I carried 1, 2, 3 and picturing together. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, let's see. Whoa. Whoa, no. Please, we take it. Wow. For one, we take it again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hey, the result is good. I will share it in our WhatsApp group. Our picture. Thank you for your attention for our class this afternoon, and this is our last meeting. And I really hope I can see you again. I don't know, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next year. I don't know. Maybe someday I will go to Turkey, to Yemen, to Turkmenistan or Thailand, and I have saved your number, and maybe someday I will call you when I am in your country. And
most welcome, sir.
Okay. Thank you, my friend, my student, Hadise, Parahat, Azad, Farida, Faiz Binali. It's good to see you. Let's close our class today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you.